Welcome back to Wilkinson Life, and today we're going to be making homemade cinnamon rolls. I have been testing out different homemade cinnamon roll recipes for years now, and this is my family's go-to recipe. My family absolutely loves it, and I know your family will too. In the video today, there's a couple little pesky flies hanging out in my house, and I have hung up my little handy dandy fly strips for the summer, and I have not succeeded at catching them yet. So if you see any flies, I am so sorry. So let's get started making the best homemade cinnamon rolls that you've ever had. For the dough recipe, you're going to need all-purpose flour, yeast, sugar, eggs, milk, unsalted butter, and salt. I need to buy me some more mixing bowls, so today we're just using my handy dandy stand mixing bowl. You will also need measuring spoons, cups, and a spatula. My kids come in my video a little bit today later on, and you should see how excited they were when they found out I was making cinnamon rolls. It has been a good minute since I decided to make some cinnamon rolls, so I'm just reading over the recipe to make sure I have everything and I'm getting the right measurements. So let's go ahead and get started at making our dough. So I'm going to get started at measuring out 1 1/4 cup of whole milk, and we're going to pop this in the microwave to get it lukewarm. Make sure your milk is only lukewarm, because if you get it too hot, you can kill your yeast. And if you do not have whole milk, any type of dairy milk should do. I have never used non-dairy milk, so I could not tell you if it will turn out or not, but dairy milk works fine. I'm going to go ahead and put in my milk, my 1 teaspoon of sugar, and my 2 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. Give that a mixy mix. We're going to set it to the side and let our yeast proof. Then we're going to go ahead and add our remainder 1/2 cup of sugar, and then I'm going to go ahead and crack our egg in a separate container and put that in there. It calls for 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to go ahead and give that a really good mixy mix. Make sure our egg is broken up and make sure our sugar is nice and dissolved as much as possible. We're going to go ahead and add our all-purpose flour. The recipe calls for 5 cups of loosely packed flour. I start out with 4 cups because your humidity has a lot to play on it. And then I almost forgot to add my butter, so here I'm adding 1/3 cup of melted butter. We're going to go ahead and give that a really good mixy mix, and make sure you get everything good, well, and combined, and just see where your dough's at. My dough was still very sticky, so I'll go ahead in and add an extra 1/2 cup of flour. You may need a little bit more. I have before ended up adding more than 5 cups of flour because my dough was just not coming together, so it all really does play on where you live at. My dough was getting a little bit too stiff for me to work with my spatula, so I'll go ahead and get in there with my hands. We're going to go ahead and knead our dough on the countertop for 5 to 7 minutes. You know your dough is done when you can push on it and it springs right back. If you and your family have any recipes that y'all would like me to try and make here on my channel, please drop them down below in the comments, and I would love to make a video on it. Kneading your dough is a timely process, but I prefer kneading it by hand rather than my stand mixer. I have made it in my stand mixer in the past, and it just has not turned out the same. So by hand, it will be for me forever. You're going to go ahead and get yourself a bowl. I'm just using the same bowl that I mixed my dough up in. We're going to oil it really well. Just get yourself an unflavored vegetable oil. Make sure your dough is really well coated. We're going to cover this up and stick it in a warm spot for 2 hours or doubled in size. While our dough is rising, we're going to go ahead and get started at making the filling. You're going to need 1 stick of butter. Make sure you get every last drop. Every last drop counts. We're going to go ahead and add our 1 cup of brown sugar. Make sure it is packed. Our 1 1/2 tablespoons of cinnamon, a pinch of salt, and then we're just going to make sure all this just gets really well combined. We did have our butter set out at room temperature. That's what you want. Our house is a little bit cooler, so it was a little bit tougher for me to get mixed up, but this is what it should look like at the end. Now that our dough is doubled in size, we're going to go ahead and lightly flour our surface. We're going to dump out our dough. We're going to grab our rolling pin. You can use a glass if you don't have a rolling pin. I have done that in the past. We're going to make our dough into a rectangle shape as much as possible. You do your best. You're going to start seeing my kiddos pop in here one by one, my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old, and my 8-month-old is in his playpen over the counter. And you're going to see them start grabbing my dough, and I'm really trying not to roll over their little fingers. This is when they realized what I was making, and they were getting extra excited, as you can see. After you get your dough rolled out into a rectangle as much as possible, as you can see mine is not perfect, we're going to go ahead and put all the filling onto the dough. You're going to grab a spatula and you're going to smear that all over your dough. I smeared all the way to the edges. My kiddos are like, "What's that? What are you putting on there? What are you putting on there?" I'm like, "That's the butter and sugar mixture." "Oh, I want to try some." I'm like, "No, get your fingers out of there. Don't eat that. It's just pure butter and sugar." But they keep on sticking their little fingers on in there. But I absolutely love them being in the kitchen with me because these are just memories being made, because this isn't going to last forever. Now the filling that we made, mine is extra thick. Yours may be too, because like I said, it was cooler in my house, so my butter wasn't as room temperature as I thought it was. So I'm struggling trying to get it to the edges. But I promise you that struggle is well worth it. Now we're going to go in with the typewriter method, and we're going to start rolling the dough towards us. And as we're doing this typewriter method, you want to make your roll as tight as possible without tearing your dough. And as we get towards the end of the cinnamon roll, about an inch away from being finished, we're going to go ahead and just fold that dough over on the top, and we're going to make sure we pinch our cinnamon roll closed shut, and then we're just going to flip that roll over and hide that seam. Don't be afraid to give the dough a good pinch, just make sure your finger don't go through the dough. After we get our cinnamon roll all closed up, seam side down, go ahead and go get yourself a parchment lined baking sheet ready, and we're going to get to cutting these cinnamon rolls up. These cinnamon rolls yield about 15 cinnamon rolls, and they're really good size. It probably would have been better if I had some unflavored floss that I could have used for these cinnamon rolls, but I did not. Just make sure your knife is really sharp and it will be okay. If you get your cinnamon rolls and put your finger on the bottom and press up in the middle, it will give you that bakery looking cinnamon roll. Now don't press too hard because it can make your cinnamon roll come apart. Now after we get all 15 of these rolls on our baking sheet, we're going to cover this back up and put this back in a warm area and let them double in size. I put mine on top of the oven and cover it with the towel and preheat my oven to 350. Now we're going to go ahead and get started at making our cream cheese icing. You're going to need 1 stick of butter and 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese. You're going to go ahead and put on your paddle attachment, and I put this on a low-medium speed, and we're just going to mix that together until it becomes light and fluffy. I'm going to go ahead and stop the mixer, and I'm going to get a spatula and rake down the sides. Even though it's a stand mixer, sometimes it needs a little bit of help. After we get all that scraped down, I'm going to go ahead and restart the mixer and let that continue mixing up. And as that's mixing up, I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Let that mix up, and then I'm going to stop that and add my 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. I was going to go ahead and restart it and realized I needed to scrape down the sides again, and then I go ahead and restart my mixer and let everything just get mixed up really well. And for this cream cheese icing recipe, you do want to make sure that your butter and cream cheese is at room temperature. Look how gorgeous that turned out. And you do not have to have a stand mixer or a hand mixer for this. You can make this by hand. I have done that in the past numerous times and it has turned out absolutely delicious. Now this is what our cinnamon rolls looked like doubled in size before they went in the oven. I did not get to show you that I melted a 1/4 cup of butter and put over the cinnamon rolls, and then I added heavy cream to each cinnamon roll on top, and that is crucial. You have to do that because if you don't, your cinnamon rolls may come out dry. That makes sure your cinnamon roll is extra moist and flaky, and they come out absolutely delicious. Now you want to put your cream cheese icing on your cinnamon rolls as they come out of the oven piping hot. Now I promise you this will not melt your cream cheese icing completely, it will just melt it enough. You gotta trust me on this one. Make sure you get every last drop of the icing out of that bowl is crucial. My 4-year-old is next to me, like literally salivating. He is so excited for these cinnamon rolls, he cannot wait. Now, I didn't say that these cinnamon rolls weren't going to be messy. I said they were going to be absolutely delicious. I mean, come on, look at how delicious those look. Those are just ooey gooey cinnamon rolls. I promise you, your family's going to absolutely love these. Here I am trying to plate one of these up for y'all so y'all can get a better look at it without making a mess all over my counter. So now it's finally time for my kiddos to be able to taste test these cinnamon rolls. This is a timely process, but is well worth it. So here's their real reaction to finally getting the cinnamon roll they've been asking for over a week. As you can see, my 4-year-old took too big of a bite for his little mouth, but he was going to make it work. And my 6-year-old is like, me next, me next. It is absolutely adorable that their smile is so precious and their thumbs up. They absolutely love them. So if you make these for you and your family, please drop it down in the comments below and let me know what your family thinks. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one.